One recent Saturday, I jumped out of an airplane. But that wasn't the most exciting thing that happened that week. Because 6 days later, I drove the Ferrari 812 Superfast. In Italy, on Ferrari's private race, test track in Frano. It was, in skydiver parlance, epic. The speeds were higher, the G-loads greater, and the soundtrack light years better than just a whole lot of high speed when buffeting past my ears. The 8 in this car's name denotes the 800 horsepower the engine generates on the European scale. As measured on this side of the Atlantic, though, it's a mere 789, an extra 59 over the F12 Berline that this model replaces. The 12 is on the badge because there are a dozen cylinders beneath the hood, and Superfast is both a name from Ferrari's history and a promise delivered. Compared with the F12's engine, the 812's is 75% new. Displacing 6.5 liters versus the F12's 6.3, the 12 makes it 789 horsepower at 8,500 revolutions per minute on its way to an 8,900 revolution per minute redline. Peak torque, 530 pounds-to-foot, crests at 7,000. Below 5,000 revolutions per minute, the 812 is a pussycat, but as the revs rise, the power seems to build exponentially. There is about 600 horsepower at 6,000 revolutions per minute, 700 at 7,000, and as the tach winds up, the compounding sensation of acceleration is stupefying. The engine revs so far past the initiation of insanity that each redline upshift is almost a relief. Expect the 0 to 60 mph sprint to be over in just 2.8 seconds and the quarter mile to pass in 10.8 ticks or so. And then there's the sound. It's your very own Formula One fantasy, heaven's own chainsaw. Agile? Must be Italian. The handling, too, is something out of a fantasy. Ferrari's first ever electrically assisted power steering system directs the 812, and it's a solid effort. As we trundled through the streets of Murano just outside the factory gates, it felt maybe a touch overboosted. But once the town gave way to hills and fields, we realized that the steering matches the feeling of the entire car. Agility we expected, but the whole car feels unbelievably light, like the world's most furious Mazda Miata. Here is a 3,900-pound car with a giant 6.5-liter engine in its nose, but it is unbelievably dexterous, like a V12 wingsuit. The steering is immediate and effort builds faithfully, but there's very little feedback from the road surface. Given how great the steering is in other respects, though, we'd give it just a couple of years before Ferrari perfects it, making access to the best steering on the planet another reason to resent the 1%.